Call 888-PAUSE to schedule your vaccination today.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you're calling on 35 plus years of experience in the Wenatchee Valley. Spending extra time in your home, you may have discovered an unwanted aroma. Stinky feet, pets, who knows what. Call Dick's today about installing their Train Clean Effects electronic air cleaner or a Rheem Halo ultraviolet air purifier. Either way, the air quality in your home will be improved. Proudly servicing all of North Central Washington, call 884-6444 today.
Way swung on a fly ball.
Wenatchee Apple Sox baseball is back on the NCW Live channel. Join us Monday, July 17th as the Apple Sox host the Bend Elks. Coverage is brought to you by Apple Valley Honda, Confluence Health, JDSA Law, Mary Mays, Many Blinds and more. Prestige Senior Living at Colonial Vista, Together for Youth, Wenatchee Valley Dispute Resolution Center, and Walkabout Grill. Your television home.
Good morning, television family. It's good to be back. We're here after a day off yesterday, celebrating our nation's Independence Day. Now it's back to work. It is Wednesday, the 5th day of July, 2023. I am Dan Kuntz. Got a pretty good show for you today. We always try and promise you a pretty good show. Whether we deliver on that promise is another story altogether. You can see behind me, it is hazy. It's that smoke from the wildfires out in Canada, high pressure. Large and in charge just off the Pacific coast. It churns up clockwise. It's grabbing some of that smoke from British Columbia and Alberta, bringing it down here. It's not dense, it's not thick, it's fairly high in the atmosphere, but it's certainly giving us some filtered sunshine. And they say that's going to be the case for today, tomorrow, and into Friday. It should be gone by Friday afternoon into Saturday, and it's going to be warm. It is July. It is what it is. Your very warm but hazy forecast is coming up. We need some wind or something to scour out the skies. There's really none of that in the forecast, but at least it's not unhealthy air. Puget Sound area has some really dirty air this morning, combination of the same thing that we're dealing with here, plus all the big fireworks displays. Some of that residual smoke still hangs around. They got very unhealthy air in the Puget Sound area. We're not too bad here. I think it's moderate, last I checked, and it gets better as the day progresses. In the back half of the program, live in the studio, Jeremy Anders, General Manager of the WVSO, Wenatchee Valley's Super Oval. They have a full slate of racing on Saturday night, and we're going to be there with our cameras to televise the races. We'd like to come up and enjoy ourselves at the Super Oval, and Jeremy will give us a preview of what we can look forward to, and you as well, if you want to go watch the racing on Saturday night. We'll also have the long-term forecast for the middle of July and everything else you need to get your day going, and let's get your day going with our famous cameras around the valley, courtesy of Localtel's Sky-Fi division, and you can certainly see the haze. Now, I missed last night's fireworks display down at Walla Walla Point Park. Quite frankly, it's way past my bedtime, 10 after 10 in the evening. No, that ain't gonna happen because I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't gonna happen, but I was dead asleep last night when the neighbors started firing off fireworks. So while you look at that, I'll give you the statistics. This is how many calls were phoned into Rivercom about fireworks, and Rivercom had some issues. Rivercom's system went down about 10:30 last night. They didn't get it up till about 1 o'clock in the morning. They weren't able to call out, and you weren't able to call in. So who knows how many actual calls were made that never got through. But yesterday, the Chelan County Sheriff's Office responded to 12 fireworks complaints. Douglas County Sheriff's Office, 19 fireworks complaints. East Wenatchee Police Department responded to 17 fireworks complaints, and the Wenatchee Police Department had to go out on 16 calls. And those are just the people who called in, not necessarily the officers out on patrol who saw fireworks violations of their own volition. So, to my knowledge, no significant fires broke out, knock on wood. Who knows, one may pop up. To the Ronda Rock camera we go. We say good morning to Lake Aniat. It's looking good. The water is finally starting to warm up. It should be now. It's July. Pretty good dose of traffic on the highway on your left-hand side of the screen heading into Wenatchee and all ports in between. This is, of course, now vacation time. A lot of people taking some time off. Eric is off this week. And then we got more folks going to be off next week. I'll be off. I'll be taking a week off here in a couple of weeks. And it's that time of the year again to to not work real hard. Let's check in with Kashmir. Doesn't look as hazy there in Kashmir, but maybe that camera isn't indicative of the actual conditions. This is from a camera high atop the Appelandi's Antique Mall, so you can see a good dose of Kashmir on this beautiful Wednesday morning. I'm going to have to get used to it, the fact that it's Wednesday, because it sure feels like a Monday to us. Of course, we were off Saturday and Sunday. A two-day weekend for me is very rare. And then we came in here and worked on Monday, but it was pretty much a show and go. I think I was back at my house by no later than 10. We had yesterday off, and now it's back to work. It's all cattywampus. Badger Mountain is going to be giving us a gorgeous view this morning, I'm sure. And there we have it. And again, there's the haze. It's way high up in the air, but again, it isn't dense, it isn't thick. So as far as smoke coming right down to the surface, it hasn't really happened. But it's certainly giving us filtered sunshine. And you can see, if you squint, you can see the WVSO from our camera high atop a tower at the very summit of Badger Mountain, looking back over Wenatchee. Can't really make out East Wenatchee. It's tucked behind the bench. Our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. This is from the Climate Prediction Center at the National Weather Service. These are the folks who handle the long-term forecast. They do it very well. This was issued yesterday. It's for next week, July 10th through the 14th. And as you can see, we have a better than 50-50 chance of seeing our afternoon high temperatures above normal, which has been quite the norm. If you want to really avoid the heat, stay away from Texas. Again, San Antonio and El Paso and Galveston and Brownsville, they've been cooking over the last few weeks, and that's not going to change. And the Rust Belt looks pretty cool to me. As far as precipitation is concerned, a little bit above chance of precipitation. Keep in mind that that above chance is almost strictly relegated to the possibility of afternoon thunderstorms right at the Washington-Canadian border. That's why it's a slightly above chance of precipitation. So no real rain event, and we need it. We are in a drought. We are way behind on our annual rainfall. It was a dry June, and so far it's a dry July. In fact, as you look at the forecast, there ain't a raindrop to be had from the National Weather Service. Here we go. Again, hazy and a high of about 93. For the record, by the way, we hit 89 yesterday. Our normal high is 84. We're going to be well above normal right through the forecast period, and that includes the overnight lows. The overnight low is normally about 62. We'll be slightly warmer than that for most of the week. Still hazy tonight, still hazy on Thursday, maybe a degree or two warmer, still hazy Friday for the most part. Saturday, the haze should be dissipated and gone, and that means more direct sunlight on the Earth's surface, which means it's going to be warmer still on Saturday and hot on Sunday, close to triple digits on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. It is July, and that is what we expect around here. We need rain. It ain't coming. 7 minutes after the hour, after a break, we'll talk about the news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life Channel.
I had a seizure in the middle of the night, and they rushed me to the hospital and decided to induce labor to try to get the baby out. The outpouring of love and support I got from Confluence Health. My coworkers coming to the ICU to be with me. For me, it's the work family. It's just incredible to have support no matter what I'm going through in my personal life, my own health.
It's Click It RV's lowest price guarantee sale going on now at your neighborhood Click It RV.
Be a winner like me and get to Click It RV.
With 0 down and no payments till September, now is the time to own your dream RV.
Get to Click It RV now. Are you gonna be mad, bro?
Get never before deep discounts on trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, and motorhomes. Plus the best selection, highest trade-in values ever, and a lifetime warranty. Nobody beats the discounts at Click It RV.
I'm Richard Sherman, and we guarantee it.
On Frontage Road.
Hey there folks, Blueberry Carrie here to invite you on out to experience Blueberry Hills. Of course, the food is fabulous, like our cheese splints, our famous French dip, our legendary Eggs Benedict, and unforgettable burgers. But we're more than just great food. People come from all over the world to experience what's been called one of the best destination restaurants in the Pacific Northwest. So come on out and see what all the fuss is about. Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's where the world is coming to.
My name is Anna Marie. I've lived at Prestige here for 6.5 years, and I love it. They just made you feel so welcome. I love my room. I get 3 meals a day, do as I darn well want to. I've loved it ever since I moved in.
Mom's a wonderful, wonderful lady. She deserved the very best, and I got it for her here at Prestige.
Minutes after the hour, it is hazy. It is 64 degrees. We'll be in the lower 90s today. We'll be climbing up that scale gradually. The haze will eventually dissipate by the time we get to Friday. But very warm temperatures, no rain. Typical July weather for the Wenatchee Valley, north central Washington. At 9 minutes after the hour, a reminder, we talked about this on Friday, a rather heavily traveled piece of real estate in East Wenatchee starts a rather significant construction project today. We're talking about South Nile Avenue between Grant Road and 2nd Street. It shuts down this morning and will remain shut down for about 10 days. Local traffic, you can still access Nile, so you can still get to your house and your business. And there'll be a detour by way of South Kentucky for all other motorists. The closure will allow crews to bury new utility lines for that Gateway Apartments project that's going up alongside Nile in East Wenatchee. So heads up on that. Only the local folks can get to their houses between on Nile between Grant Road and 2nd Street starting today and for about the next 10 days. And check this out. Lake Chelan, of course, we know is known for its deep blue water, but what if something happens to the biology of the lake that causes that to change? Well, our very own Jefferson Robbins went up to Lake Chelan recently, and he spoke with the people who've studied it closely. They say it takes vigilance to keep invasive aquatic species from getting where they're not supposed to be.
What is it that makes Lake Chelan so special?
First of all, it's the 3rd deepest lake in the United States. It's like 27th in North America, but it was still a very deep lake at, 1,486 feet. It's also what we call ultra oligotrophic. At least that's what it's been in the past. And that just means really low nutrient levels or food levels. And so that's why it's very clear.
Dr. Phil Long is a scientist and director of the Lake Chelan Research Institute, a nonprofit dedicated to understanding the environment of Lake Chelan and its surrounding ecosystems.
I have a friend, we were walking across the Woodin Avenue Bridge one day, and she looked into the water and said, "Phil, what do you put in the water in Lake Chelan to make it so clear?" Well, of course, it's nothing, right? And this is what we want to do, is protect the lake. Our byline for the Institute, clear into the future, that's where we want to be.
That means, in part, sampling the water quality and monitoring for invasive species, plants and animals that could pose a risk if they're introduced to Lake Chelan waters.
We realized we'd gone 9 years with 0 water quality samples on Lake Chelan, which is kind of hard to get the trends if you don't have continuous sampling. So we've gone from a first quarterly sampling, now we do monthly sampling at 3 sites, and that's funded by City of Chelan, for one thing, Chelan County, Lake Chelan Reclamation District, and the Conservation District.
When you came back and did the first water quality testing in almost a decade, what did you find? What had changed?
Well, very little, actually. Since the very first water quality measurement that was made in 1986 and 1987. That was the first water quality study, and unfortunately at that time there wasn't the funding to keep doing that. But to do trends, you really need to be able to do the kind of thing we're doing now with monthly sampling. So this is the great story for Lake Chelan. You can't really tell the difference in water quality in Lake Chelan in the middle of the lake between now and 1987. So that's the good news. The not so good news is that we're starting to see more attached green algae on the margins of the lake. And so it's various stringy green things, and people started noticing this in the last few years, especially last year. We started getting calls. People would call the PUD, or they would call us. The PUD would refer them to us, and they would say, "What is this green stuff growing on my swim step in the lake that I'd never seen before?" So that's what we're trying to deal with now. Unfortunately, the Public Power Benefit Program of the PUD is giving us some funding to address that issue. Over the next 3 years, we'll be monitoring to understand where and what times of the year this kind of stuff is growing. And is it something we can do anything about? What do we need to do? What's the cause of it? and can we affect it? It could be as simple as a slight increase in temperature, or maybe the organisms are adapting to Lake Chelan in a way they haven't done before.
Things like changes in temperature, changes in pH can change the way a species that has always existed behaves in the water.
Right, yeah. This historic range of what it's done in the past has changing for some reason, or you do have an introduction of a new species. So one of the things we're seeing this year as we begin this study funded by the PUD is that we're seeing these attached diatoms, which they have a stalk that attaches them to a surface. And it looks like fluffy, really fluffy cotton candy, only it's very mobile in the water, and so you see that fluffing around, and it's not dark green like some of the periphyton is. It's very light colored. But it turns out these are organisms that typically we think are actually just free floating. They're planktonic, as we say, in the lake. Now they're attached and they're growing this spring in a way we hadn't seen before.
Long's Institute has become a valuable partner for Chelan County's Natural Resources Department, where specialist Lisa Dowling is a frequent collaborator.
We are seeing increases in algae growth happening around the nearshore environment, and an influx in aquatic invasive species that are kind of thought to be sentinels for long-term changes that we really need to keep tracks on and make sure that we are adapting the way that we manage water quality and detect water quality issues so that we can make sure Lake Chelan has great water quality well into the future. We know that many decades ago we didn't have a lot of Eurasian milfoil and Asian clams throughout the lake. We do have folks that have lived in and around the lake for many years, and some of their anecdotal observations are ways that we can understand, well, this beach used to have no clams and now it is thoroughly infested. Now, species like Asian clams and Chinese mystery snails likely were brought here by early settlers as a food source. And then other species like Eurasian milfoil and curly-leaf pondweed probably hitched a ride on watercrafts over decades. Exactly when they came to the lake is tough to pin down, but they've been growing a lot. And we recently did a survey for those species in 2021, which was the first survey that had been completed since 2014. And for a lot of these species, their big claim to fame is that they can blow up at a moment's notice if they get a really good condition going. So we were not surprised, but a little disappointed to find that there had been an extreme growth in Eurasian milfoil and curly-leaf pondweed in that period of time. Prior to that assessment, we thought that Lake Chelan did not have suitable habitat for some of these other invasive mussels that are extremely concerning, named quagga and zebra mussels. We don't have those in Washington State, we don't have them in Lake Chelan, and we want to keep it that way. They require a certain range of dissolved calcium and oxygen for suitable habitat, and we thought that Lake Chelan had such low levels of those things that it didn't provide suitable habitat. But what we found is that Asian clams, for example, can alter the habitat at the microclimate scale in a way where it's not only suitable but kind of fantastic habitat for quagga zebra mussels. And a lot of those existing clam beds are in places where we see a lot of watercraft usage as well. So those things, when taken together, raise some concerns.
That is kind of a cryptic impact to lake water quality that could be beneficial. It could be they're filter feeders. They're removing some of the stuff that may make the lake less clear, but also, they're interfering with the normal phytoplankton growth and potentially taking up food that the fish could eat, the kokanee that people love fishing for in Lake Chelan.
Minimum responsibilities is you want to walk around the entire outside of the vessel, make sure that you don't have any little bits of plant fragments and pieces hanging off your trailer or your boat at all. Any of those internal tanks, like ballast tanks, you want to pull the plugs out and have them totally drained. You want to make sure that any pools of water on the inside of the boat have been dried up and cleaned out. You want to make sure that life jackets and ropes and things like that may hold on to water have been thoroughly dried out.
Stephen Lesky, one of Dowling's fellow natural resource specialists with Chelan County, explains how a new appliance installed at the lakeside marina can help boat owners avoid transferring contaminants between lakes.
So this system here, we have a compressed air nozzle for blowing stuff off of the boat, any dry debris that may have been accumulated during the time on the water. We also have a scrub brush for brushing any algae that may accumulate along the water line or on the engine as they're out doing their thing. A set of tongs for grabbing like vegetative debris. So we don't want to introduce any more of that stuff to the Columbia River or neighboring lakes that have lower amounts of that. And also a vacuum system for sucking water out of the bilge that might not get pumped out with the bilge pump operations, and a way to additionally help boaters keep their boats clean.
It doesn't matter if you own a boat or not. If you care about the lake, there are ways that you can help participate and things that you can do to reduce the risk to the lake. And it can be as simple as the way that you recreate in and around the lake, or the communications that you have around the coffee table with your friends. And if you have spare time, coming and helping us when we do Restore the Shore events or any other kind of volunteer event. There's a lot that can happen out there that will benefit our lake.
Fascinating stuff indeed, and that is the news on this Wednesday, July 5th. The whole crew will be back for the most part. Again, as I mentioned, it's vacation time. In any event, the news with Grant and me doing sports tonight at 5, 6, and 10. And that's the television airtime, 5, 6, and 10 right here on this very TV station. If that doesn't work out for you, you can always watch the news online by going to our homepage, our Facebook page, or our YouTube page. And if something out there warrants our attention, get a hold of us. That's how we find out about these things, is through you. It helps anyway. Give us a call, the number you see at your screen, or the best way to go about doing it, just simply email us, news@ncwlife.com. When we come back, a pretty good couple of days for the Mariners and a pretty good couple of days for the Apple Sox. Lots of winning baseball to talk about when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Hey, welcome back to Save Mart. What can we help you find today?
We're looking for a mattress.
Oh, right this way. We got a large selection. We have this pillow top here.
Oh, comfortable.
We have more to choose from down here.
Oh.
I think I have the perfect one over here for you.
I guess we'll take this one.
You'll find it at Save Mart. Full service at a low, low price.
Hey, hon, would you run this around to the wash rack?
Oh, okay.
Hey, hon, what happened?
They shrunk the truck.
The all-new midsize Canyon is now available at Sangster Motors.
Hi everybody, Dan Kuntz alongside Jesse Coble from Alpine Air. My heat pump there's like steam coming out of it. It's making weird noises. Is this something I need to be concerned about?
No, Dan, that's normal operation. Refrigeration technology steals heat from the outside, transfers it to the inside, and it creates frost on your heat pump. The defrost cycle melts that off, which creates steam and a little bit of noise.
That makes sense. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. For heat and air, call Alpine Air. Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
.23 minutes after the hour, Logan Gilbert struck out 7. He pitched a 5-hit gem, his first ever career complete game, and it was a shutout as well. And Mike Ford, a homer during a 4-hit performance. A.J. Pollock adding a late 2-run shot. Mariners shut out San Francisco 6-0 on Tuesday. It's their 4th win in a row. Now, Seattle's 4-game winning streak, that matches their season best. They've only had one other 4-game winning streak. That was back in late May when they swept Oakland.
for Keaton here.
Here's the pitch to Crawford, swinging a fly ball deep into right field. Peterson going back to the warning track to the wall, leaps up, and it's off the brick wall. JP to second. Up with the ball, the center fielder Yastrzemski gets to it, throws it in, and on at second base, standing up with a double, goes JP Crawford, a leadoff extra base hit. The wind helped out. It's blown out to right field, and it blew it beyond the reach of Jock Peterson.
So that's a great way to get things going for the M's.
And now here's Julio with a chance to drive in a run right away. Here's the stretch and the next offer to Julio. Swinging a ground ball, third base line. Sliding backhanded, stopped by Davis. Long throw to first, and it's not in time. Julio is safe at first. J.P. Crawford heads up base running. Took off for third when he saw Davis make the long throw to first base. And it's low and late to get Julio. And now the Mariners have runners at first and third with nobody out. That's going to be an infield base hit for Julio, but a heck of a play by Davis to get to that ball. Here's Jared Kelenic. And right away, the Mariners have a chance to get the win. Now the stretch. And the 1-0 pitch on the way to Kelenic. Swinging a ground ball back up the middle. Diving stop to second baseman. Schmidt flips it over to the shortstop Crawford. The throw to first, not in time. They get the out at second on Julio. Kelenic is safe at first base. J.P. Crawford will score from third. And the Mariners have an early 1-0 lead here in the first.
Bounce. 2 up and 2 down. Here is Sable. 3 pitch. 3 out inning. It is the only thing more immaculate than the immaculate inning. It's the incredible inning. Logan Gilbert.
What a bottom of the second for Logan Gilbert. 1, 2, 3 on just 3 pitches. How about that?
He was on base 3 out of 4 times, 2 hits and a walk. He's 1 for 1 with a run scored today.
There's a drive deep to right. Look at this thing go. It is gone. Mike Ford, happy birthday, big fella. Mariners have a 3-0 lead. His 7th home run, 13th RBI, and he's 2 for 2 today. Way to celebrate the 4th of July. So this is a birthday that he'll remember for a long time.
What an afternoon for Mike Ford, and what a night for Mike Ford last night, and what a few weeks for Mike Ford since coming
At the corners, 2 away here in the 6th inning. And here's Julio. He had a single in the 1st inning. Chance to do damage.
Inside out, Skimmer into right field. It picks up a run for the Mariners. Pollock scores some 2-out run production as Julio drives in the Mariners' 4th run of the ball game.
Base hits by Pollock, Crawford, and now a key base hit by Julio Rodriguez. You always have to add on, and it paid off for the Mariners with 4 runs in the top half of the 9th inning last night.
We go to the 8th. Mariners leading. It's 4-0. So here's Pollock. Nobody out. Runner at first. Mariners already leading 4-0. Top of the order due up next.
High drive deep left field. That ball got hammered, gone. A.J. Pollock, 2-run homer. Mariner lead now 6-0. Home run number 5. RBIs 14 and 15. Back-to-back plate appearances by A.J. A base knock. He got a single in the 6th and a home run here, and he was behind in the count.
Number 5 for A.J. Pollock out to the bleachers in left center field. 2 mighty big runs are in for the Mariners here in the top of the 8th inning, adding on. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Mariners 6. And the Giants nothing, and the big man is going out to the mound for a complete game. Logan Gilbert heading to the mound. Mariners have had 151 complete game shutouts since 1977. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Logan strikes out J.D. Davis, and there's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Strikeout number 6 for Logan on the afternoon. He's retired the last 9 batters in a row. He has retired 25 of 30 hitters he's faced today. And now Logan Gilbert is just 1 out away from his first ever complete game shutout. 6-0 Mariners lead.
His 1-2 pitch. He struck him out! Logan Gilbert with a complete game shutout on this Independence Day in San Francisco.
Logan Gilbert did not walk anybody through 105 pitches. It is the Mariners' 7th shutout of the year, and they out-hit the Giants 13-5. Julio Rodriguez and right-hander George Kirby, by the way, added to the AL roster for the All-Star game in Seattle, which is next Tuesday. And by the way, Seattle, we don't know who's going to start today's game. Bryce Miller has a bad finger, so he's not going to pitch today. We don't know who's going to pitch when they have wrap up their 3rd game. So to the standings we go. In the American League West, you saw them briefly. We're going to show them to you again. Texas continues to lead the way, but Houston continues to creep up. There's 3 games behind the Rangers. The Angels had bad news yesterday. They're going to lose Mike Trout, and they're going to lose Shohei Ohtani for a little while. They're 7 games back. The Mariners, as you can see, back to 500, 8 games behind Texas, and Oakland, well, is Oakland. And by the way, of course, the Mariners have one more game in San Francisco today, 4-game set in Houston against the Astros, then the All-Star break after Sunday. All right, to the Apple Sox, Garrett Gores struck out 11 hitters through 8 shutout innings, and the Wenatchee Apple Sox beat Port Angeles last night 7-zip. Gores did not walk anybody, only allowed 2 hits. It was his 5th and final start of the season. They're going to shut him down. He's going to go to Gonzaga. You don't want to send a Gonzaga a pitcher that got hurt playing Apple Sox baseball. He pitched really well. In fact, he retired each of the last 18 hitters that he faced. Joel Norman has the wrap.
The Wenatchee Apple Sox earned their 4th shutout victory of the season on Tuesday night as they defeated the Port Angeles Lefties by 7-0 score. Garrett Gores went 8 shutout innings and struck out 11 as the Apple Sox were victorious in their 3rd to last game of the first half. Wenatchee remains a game ahead of the Bellingham Bells for first place and can potentially lock it up here this coming week. With your Apple Sox update, I'm Joel Norman.
All right, to the standings we go. First of all, the Apple Sox will be going for their 7th consecutive series victory tonight as they take on the Lefties at 6:35. Wenatchee remains in first place in the North Division. They still control their own destiny. They can clinch a playoff berth if they keep winning. The Bellingham Bells, a team that they were chasing, now the Bells are chasing the Apple Sox. They won. They beat Kamloops last night, so they remained 1 game behind the Apple Sox. Wenatchee, by the way, eliminated Victoria from winning the first half by matching their own win total, and that's how they do these things. It's not an exactly balanced schedule. So Victoria, although just a game and a half back, cannot win the first half North Division standings. So if the Apple Sox win today and tomorrow, they will have won the first half North Division and will clinch a ticket to the playoffs. And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this July 5th. I could have chosen National Graham Cracker Day. I used to love them when I was a kid. Can't remember the last time I had one of those. National Bikini Day. I don't wear one. It's National Apple Turnover Day, which sounds pretty good about now. I'm getting hungry, but no. It's weird because now we're getting into the warm summer months, the time of the year when people start taking some time off from work. And yet today, July 5th, is National Workaholics Day. Actually, International Workaholics Day. If you work in an office, like the vast majority of people do, I mean, a lot of people do their own thing, but most people work with other people on a daily basis. There's always 1 or 2 workaholics that are always at the office, and there's any number of reasons behind that. A lot of them work their butts off to fight off depression. They find if they're not working really hard, they get depressed. A lot of them have really, these are all from studies, a lot of them have a home life that they don't much care for, and the longer they stay at the office, the less time they have to stay at home. That's kind of sad. Workaholics will become more stressed out if they're not allowed to work as much as they want to. And don't tell a workaholic they're working too hard. That usually backfires. Workaholics are really bad at taking advice from other people that tell them they should slow down. And of course, workaholics suffer health problems, oftentimes extensive health problems because they don't have that work-life balance. And of course, here in the United States, we're the only country in the developed world that does not have any laws whatsoever guaranteeing vacation time. All the other countries in the developed world have that. They're federal laws. The company that you work for mandates that you get X amount of paid vacation time every year. Does not exist in this state. You can go get a job and they can tell you you get 0 paid vacation days. They can if they want. That probably needs to be addressed. Happy Workaholics Day. 32 minutes after the hour. Today in history. There's always hope. This is the National League standings on the morning of July 5th, 1914. On Independence Day, the day before, the Dodgers swept the Boston Braves in a doubleheader. Boston wakes up on the morning of July 5th, 1914, in dead last place. There they go. They were 26-40, 15 games out of first place in the National League. There was 87 games left in the season. The Boston Braves went 68-19 to win the National League pennant and then sweep the Philadelphia A's in the World Series. The Miracle Braves of 1914. There's always hope for you fans of teams who are playing really bad baseball. If the Braves can do it, anybody can do it. They went from last to first on this date beginning 109 years ago today. Happy 86th birthday to that Spam, which is pork shoulder, ham, salt, water, modified potato starch, sugar, and sodium nitrate. Spam hit the grocery shelves on this date in 1937 by the Hormel Foods Corporation. They still make it. Wasn't a big success. They sold some. They sold enough to keep manufacturing Spam. And then comes the war. And delivering fresh meat to the troops on the front lines during World War I was absolute, and World War II, I should say, was impossible. And so the government bought Spam, bought as much Spam as Hormel could possibly make. They bought 150 million pounds of Spam during the course of World War II, and it became part of an everyday diet for those people on the front lines. And then after the war was over in occupied South Pacific, Guam, Hawaii, Okinawa, the Philippines, they had Spam with them, and so they started handing it out to all the natives, and they fell in love with it. Spam is huge down there. Nikita Khrushchev, in his autobiography, he said, without Spam, I wouldn't have been able to feed my army, because we sent Spam over to Moscow as well. Of course, Spam, its chief assets, if you will: accessibility, every store sells Spam; affordability, it ain't too expensive; and of course it lasts a very long time on the shelf. And Hawaii, of all the states, by far had the highest per capita consumption of Spam. Spam is 86 years old. 69 years ago today, Elvis and Scotty and Bill were dinking around the Sun Records studio there in Memphis. Sam Phillips was in the control room. They were taking a break. Elvis picks up his acoustic guitar, starts going into a kind of an up-tempo version of Big Boy Crawdup's That's All Right, Mama. Scotty Moore picks up his electric guitar, starts playing along. Bill Black picks up his bass. And they just start dinking around, and Sam Phillips gets on the microphone and says, "What are you guys doing?" They said, "I don't know, we're just dinking around." He says, "Well, let me roll tape. Let's get this sucker on tape." And so they did, and Elvis and Scotty and Bill started from the top, and they recorded what would become Elvis's first big hit. That's All Right Mama is 69 years old today. They recorded the song on this date back in 1954. Happy 52nd birthday to the 26th Amendment to the Constitution that lowered the voting age from 21 to 18. It was formally certified by Richard Nixon. They had done this before. They did this in 1970. Congress passed the Voting Rights Act of 1970, which lowered the voting age across the country from 21 to 18. It was pretty obvious, the Vietnam War. If you're old enough to fight, you should be old enough to vote. The vast majority of the American people were for it. And then, of course, it went to the Supreme Court because there were some challenges. Does the federal government have the ability, just by passing a law and having it signed into law by the president, to lower the voting age from 21 to 18? The Supreme Court says, no, you can't. Now, you can for federal elections. You can lower that voting age to 18, but states have the right to keep the voting age at 21. Well, that wasn't going to work. You got two ballots, one for everybody between the age of 18 to 21. You can only vote for federal offices, and then another one for 21 and over. They realized this is going to be a mess, so it didn't take very long to get this baby figured out. The 26th Amendment remains to this day the fastest amendment ever proposed. It was proposed to the people, passed out of Congress on March 23rd, 1971, and on July 1st, 1971, it was an amendment, and then it was certified on the state on July 5th. And finally, happy 29th birthday to the behemoth that is Amazon. Half of the money that Americans spend online shopping is at Amazon. Last year, they made $34 billion. That was their net profit. And it all started at a garage in Bellevue on this day back in 1994. Let's do some birthdays. You don't probably know the name Babe Paley very much. She was married to Bill Paley, who was the president of CBS. He was the media mogul of his time. And Babe Paley, her claim to fame is that she single-handedly saved the fate of two shows. In 1967, Gunsmoke was canceled by CBS. Bill Paley brought home the list to his wife at their Manhattan apartment, said, "These are all the shows that my programming people say we don't want to air anymore." One of them was Gunsmoke, and she said, "You can't cancel Gunsmoke. It's a great show. Keep it going." He went, "Okay, but we have to cancel another show." So they canceled Gilligan's Island. They canceled Gilligan's Island to keep Gunsmoke on the air. And then in the spring of 1973, same scenario, Bill Paley comes home. Here's a list. My programmers say these are all the shows we're going to renew, and these are all the shows that we're going to cancel. And they wanted to cancel the sitcom MASH. It was just after its first season. Ratings weren't very good. It was stuck in a lousy time slot. And Babe turned to her husband Bill and said, this is a really good show. Don't cancel it. In fact, give it a better time slot. And Bill said, okay. And he did. He did not cancel MASH. Instead, he stuck it behind All in the Family and handed him 30 million viewers a week. Babe Paley single-handedly saved Gunsmoke in 1967 and MASH in 1973. The guitarist and principal songwriter of the band, Robbie Robertson, is 80 years old today, still works occasionally. He's a rocker and a roller, and he's 80. I hope I can pull that off. You remember Calvin and Hobbes? The guy, the cartoonist and the author of Calvin and Hobbes, Bill Watterson, is 65 years old today. They stopped the strip in 1995. It's still funny. Still got all of them at home somewhere. Bill is 65, and we just mentioned Shohei Ohtani, the amazing two-way player for the Angels, who unfortunately will not be playing in the All-Star game on Tuesday at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. He is 29 years old today. Going to take a break. Mike McKnight's got an opinion, and then I hope he's here. I don't know. I've been in the studio. Jeremy Andrews is supposed to be here when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCAA Live channel.
You don't have to be a member to enjoy the view and dine in style at Highlander Bar and Grill, located in East Wenatchee. Highlander Golf Course has added 2 state-of-the-art full-swing simulators. Food and drink service is available from our full-service bar and grill, offering breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Indoor and outdoor seating available. Call Shalane, our on-site coordinator, to schedule your special event.
When your heating or cooling system is giving you trouble, call the diagnostic doctor from Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning.
Here's the culprit right here.
All joking aside, when you call Dick's, you're calling 35 years of experience at customer service right here in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's strongly believes in repairing before replacing, and they service all major brands of HVAC units.
Are you caught in a conflict with a family member, in the workplace, or with a neighbor or business? Wenatchee Valley Dispute Resolution Center provides mediation services, a cost-effective and efficient way to provide a written resolution to disputes and issues. Plus, we offer mediation training and community education on topics like conflict resolution and communication skills. Contact us at 509-888-0957 or www.wvdrc.org to learn more.
Are you dealing with a pest or weed issue and you just don't know what to do?
We use the best pest control methods approved for areas with kids and pets.
Whether it's rats, mice, ants, or spiders,
or something else altogether, we provide the coaching and solutions you're looking for.
And you can know that your dollars are supporting a local, family-owned and operated business.
Allow us to help you get back to living healthy and pest-free. Harvest Valley Pest Control.
Hi, my car's making a funny noise.
Not a problem. We'll take care of you.
Global Car Care's technicians are ASE Master Techs and well-versed in the more refined methods of vehicular diagnostics.
Number 3 piston and rings have a slight loss of compression, down to 108 pounds. Your transmission is slipping. You're gonna need a service.
Looks like you all set.
These guys? They're good.
Oh, and your spare is flat.
Global Car Care, Wenatchee's top shop.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNutty, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, how many times have you heard this? A young couple or single person says that they hesitate or they're outright refusing to have children because they don't want to bring an innocent child into this messed up world. Now, I heard people express this, boy, back in my hippie days, and I still hear it now. You know, it makes me sad. You know, the hope for a better world is our children. I mean, every generation makes mistakes and causes their own grief. But every generation also brings improved changes and new hope to this tough old world. I think back on the 60s and 70s. Yeah, I'm that old. And I think of the social upheaval that occurred during that period of time. And even some of the same problems that happened then that we're still having now, we're still making progress in recognizing what needs to change in this world. And it's our youth that have the energy to make these changes. Now, I won't see the world my grandkids will inherit, and I know there'll still be problems, but they'll also make it better, too. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Hey man, how's your arm?
Getting better, actually, thanks.
Did they give you anything for pain after surgery? Because I think I may have some left over.
Nah, that's all right, man. Actually, me and my doctor talked about not sharing prescriptions, and that ibuprofen's a good option for me. The risk of addiction, it's not worth it.
Makes sense.
Take the next step. Don't share your prescriptions, and talk to your friends about the dangers of opioids.
Experience memories that will last forever on a Sun Chaser pontoon boat from Bob File Boats and Motors. If you're looking to get out fishing with your buddies or just enjoying time on the water with friends, a Sun Chaser pontoon boat is a great choice. Owning a Sun Chaser is more than just an incredible feeling of freedom and exhilaration. It's about taking that indulgence to the next level. See the full line of Sun Chaser pontoon boats at Bob File Boats and Motors on Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee or online at bobfile.com.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
The agents of Kennedy Real Estate Group are committed to providing the ideal client experience. We believe in the power of relationships. Why? Because we don't just work here, we live here. From the nonprofits we serve, the parks where we play, and the local businesses we support, our team understands the value of living in the Wenatchee Valley. Let's begin your real estate story.
Transform your windows with a variety of colors and styles like the Allure Transitional Window Covering by Lafayette Interior Fashions. Hi, this is Darren with Mini Blinds and More. We can install the latest and greatest in technology to open and close your blinds with only a touch of a button. From the largest windows in your home to room darkening shades for the bedroom. From stylish shades for your entertainment room to custom blinds for those hard-to-fit places. We have a solution for all of your window covering needs. We offer a variety of window coverings from Lafayette Interior Fashions. Call us today. We are Mini Blinds and More, your local blind store.
Washington State University established their Tree Fruit Research Center here in Wenatchee back in 1937. The idea to make agriculture as good as it could be, combination of horticultural and science. Well, it went on, of course, to become the birthplace of all kinds of apples and other fruit varieties. But the director, Chad Kruger, says the facilities are showing their age, and Wazoo is planning for a complete replacement of the aging greenhouse structures. And he led us on a tour of the center to explain why.
The main campus here is largely a research campus with laboratory facilities, physical plant to operate. We do have residential student housing here on campus. A lot of people don't know that. And kind of plant growth facilities and everything necessary to actually do research on tree fruit. The majority of the facilities on campus are, we'll call them pre-World War II, World War II, and Korean War vintage. And for a modern research facility looking forward into the future, that does present some challenges. So there's historically been a lot of really important work here that's supported the tree fruit industry, but there's a lot of work that can't be done basically because of facility deficits at this point in time. So that's really the challenge that we're sitting in today.
For today, we've got some apples from the company in Quincy. We got some pathogens from the companies, and we want to see if that pathogen causes some food safety issues in post-harvest systems. In 2020, there was a report from some of the packing houses in Washington State that there was asymptomatic contamination of apples. So when they went to the lab to measure, they saw that there was high pathogen content in apples that doesn't have these symptoms I showed you earlier. So now what we did was to go to those companies, grab some of their stuff, and come to our lab here. We smash them open, culture them, and we see some growth from those apples, which looked asymptomatic when we got them in the first instance. So we want to see if this asymptomatic contamination is widespread or is localized, or there are other pathogens apart from what we know that is causing it. So maybe there are some other cryptic fungal species that might be involved that we don't know. So it's a wide range of things. So we want to see epidemiology, fungicide sensitivity, and to what extent do they produce this pathogen, and what are the genetic factors that cause that made them to behave this way. So we want to test them on these apples now to see if we get the same thing. So it's called Koch's postulate in biology. So you first of all go into the disease system, get out the microbe that's there, and see if it causes the same thing. So you have to, that's how you verify that that is what is causing the disease.
In our case here, last year we replaced the steam line that provides heat to this main facility you're standing in right now. That's, I think, the third time it's been replaced since the building was installed. And they're saying they'll probably never do that one again because technology changes, but unfortunately, the way things have been coming, we're only getting to emergencies at this point in time with the funds that are provided by the state. Some of us are thinking we've gotten to the point where we're so far past the point of repair on a lot of things that we're actually probably more economical to simply scratch old and start new. We also have a complex down in this part of the campus that's really focused on entomology programs primarily, and also our plant growth facilities. And we have about 7,000 square feet of greenhouse space, which again, vintage World War II, Korean War. It's basically the poorest quality greenhouse space in WSU. We need more controlled atmosphere facilities in order to do the research and experiments that you would think need to be done in order to be ready to manage crops 20, 40 years down the line. So you think about things like the heat dome event from a couple of years ago, or other kind of extreme weather events. When you get that one time in the field, you get a lot of anecdotal information about what happens to the tree. But if you want to repeat that and understand what are the impacts, you need to be able to go inside a greenhouse and control the environment and essentially do replication to see, did what we see, was that like a one-time thing that you know, noise in the data, or is this something that we need to be better prepared for in the future? So the new facility that we are designing really brings all those capabilities. We'll have significant control on temperature, atmospheric chemistry, humidity, moisture, all those factors that right now, we got a building with glass that has some heat that we can grow some plants in, but to be able to experiment in is just not going to be there. Tissue culture lab and controlled atmosphere, or controlled storage, cold storage, and growth chambers and things like that, and also working space. Cold rooms, dark rooms, growth chambers, dry storage, you know, more mechanical room, workspace, dirty work area, you know, so that you can drive in and drop things off. storage, chemical storage, tissue culture lab, you know, kind of everything you need to actually have a fully contained, everything we need to do in terms of growth and experiment with plants, we can do it in that building. And actually what it will do is it'll provide some relief on other space needs that we have in our existing facilities that we do plan to use for the next 40 years, because, you know, we'll just move certain things out into that space. Cost projection in the recent construction and economic environment has been a very, very challenging thing. So we're assuming this is an $18 to $20 million build to build it out and you know, supply it and make sure it's ready to actually use. So I'll kind of, from this vantage point out where you see the sign in the field out there is where the plant growth facility is planned for. And the city's going to update spring water this year all the way up to the Coug House. You want to get ready to take something into the greenhouse for an experiment. You basically start here and work on it, and this is part of what the new facility plan actually has, is make these spaces much more functional and usable so that you can do everything related to work that ultimately the plant's growing in the greenhouse. But this is one of the structures I want to go away, and so, you know, it is a greenhouse. It does have, you know, atmospheric controls. It does have irrigation and misting, that kind of thing, but it's just not in great shape, and it's really, honestly, poorly designed too. So it's not super functional to run a number of experiments. You'll see that the benches are essentially homemade benches. They're not real smooth, and when you go into a new facility, you'll find that benches are set up that they're rolling. You know, so you might have a situation where a room half this size is actually a large enough unit room to work on the same number of plants for an experiment. And so in a room this size, you could potentially have twice as many plants and functionally use it and do 2 experiments instead of just 1. So this is where the new facility would go. And the greenhouses would be on this end, and the main part of the head house on the other end. One thing you do have to think about in a university setting is, you know, the time horizon of planning that you're looking at is, you know, sometimes you're doing things in the next 6 months to 5 years, but at a campus like this, you really have to be thinking about 100 to 250 years. What are you doing with it?
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today.
Dear Mary Maids, just got home from a trade show and I didn't have time to pick up the house. Kids made chili. Jeff did a mud run. Oh, and Winston shredded Teddy's bed. Again, please clean it the best you can. Oh, except for the statue Max made for me. Thanks, Abby.
Hi, Abby. Clean kitchen, clean bath, clean floor, naughty cat. Poor Teddy. The statue is precious. You should keep it forever. See you next time, Mary Maids.
Motion e-Bikes is rolling out its new line of Aventon e-bikes. Come in today and save $300 on the top-selling Aventon Adventure. Motion is Central Washington's home for affordable e-bikes, located in the Mills Brothers building in downtown Wenatchee.
It has
has really been a great partnership between Succession and NCW Life. It's not always easy to sit in front of a camera or a microphone, but you guys have made it a really nice process.
Well, the haze is rather prevalent and will be, they tell us, for the next 3 days. It is 65 degrees here in the big city. Elsewhere, leading the temperature parade, if you will. Not surprisingly, out in the Columbia Basin, they start out a little bit warmer and they get a little warmer. It is already 74 in Ephrata, 71 in Moses Lake. Manson, you check in at 58. You're at the cool spot. Omak is at 73 degrees. We understand quite a bit of haze up the Omak way. And before we get to the weather forecast, a little weather tidbit for you. Sunrise this morning was at 5:11. Sunset tonight is at 9 o'clock. Now, you'll notice that the sunrise takes a long time. I mean, sunrise is at 5:11, but you can see pretty clear by 4:15. And even after the sun goes down at 9 o'clock, it's still fairly bright for another half an hour after that. But starting tomorrow, the sunset will be at 8:59. Thought I'd throw that out there. So you see the haze, that's from the Canadian wildfires that's been going on. We got a big ridge of high pressure just off the Pacific coast. It spins clockwise, it goes up, it grabs all that smoke from the fires in British Columbia and Alberta, and it comes down, but it's not thick, it's not dense, and it's certainly staying very high in the atmosphere, but it will be hanging around, they tell us, through the rest of the week. From the National Weather Service, here is your forecast. Hazy skies again today after yesterday's high of 89. Going to be a few degrees warmer than that. We'll top off at 93 degrees. It is warmer, by the way, at this time now than it was 24 hours ago on the holiday. Haze tonight, overnight low right around 68, give or take a couple. Up to 95 we go on Thursday and Friday. Again, a little on the hazy side. What we really need is some wind. That's not going to happen. And the high pressure range is going to move around a little bit, but really not go anywhere. And we're looking at temperatures in the upper 90s. Near 100 towards the end of the week. And that's about it for us. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.